Has anybody seen Richie? In all seriousness, has anybody seen him?
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Anybody seen him? Got an echo. Oh, whoa! What an intro! What an intro! What an intro! How dare you! Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict. I am not bald, though the light would say otherwise. And this is not a receding hairline. This is just my natural widow's peak. It runs in the family. I have shaved my own head. And oh, look at that. It's left a little. What the hell is that? What is that? Weird. Without further ado, anyway, welcome to the show, Alien Addict. Let's talk about the Matrix, the real Matrix. Musty Audio, welcome, my friend.
How
going,
are
mate?
you? Okay,
I'm good.
Thank you.
I'm good. Has anybody seen Richie?
Absolutely not. I checked under my table. I looked under the bed. I looked behind the fridge. That's where everything is.
I am worried.
She hasn't got a fucking clue.
In the chat, has anybody seen Richie? Because I am actually slightly worried about Rich Giordano from GUFON Radio. Just GUFON now, just singular GUFON, because he's not seen my messages today. Normally, it's kind of like a back and forth thing, and I'm just wondering if he's okay. But I'm sure he's going to come on in the next half an hour, and it'll be better late than never. But without further ado, let's just blossom here. My friend Lee, because it's blossom. It's blossom all over the Matrix.
That feels like something we should do on a different campsite.
But before we start on the Matrix, and this is quite bizarre in itself. Did you just say you had a tweet or something about the real owner of the Shining Hotel?
Yeah, it's not a tweet. I don't know how to bring it up. It was a TikTok. That's what I was trying to tell you before you maybe disappear. But
right.
Yeah, but if anyone's got TikTok and they can go and check this out, I'll tell you what it is. Basically, some guy has the same job as the guy from The Shining. His name is at Ben N, but it's Ben NNNST. And his uploads are another day with the same job as the guy from The Shining, and it's fucking wonderful.
Is it in the same hotel?
Yeah.
I don't have TikTok.
You should get TikTok. It's
should I make a TikTok alien?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
what would I do?
I put stupid videos up as Musty Audio clips.
I'd have to keep it alien based,
which is really weird because I don't put clips of Musty Audio up on it anymore. It's generally just me doing like duets with things.
Guys in the chat, should I get an Alien Addict TikTok? I've tried to avoid it like the plague, but it just seems like just another plan. Maybe it could be just like a quick hi guys, I'm about to do a video in the next 3 days with Lee and Rich Giordano if he turns up.
Yeah, it's also fun. Like TikTok's really good fun. There's lots of really funny people on TikTok.
Right. And my wife's constantly TikToking. She should be. We'll be watching like something in bed. Don't worry, people in the chat. We're going to get on the Matrix. We're just getting warm here. I need my nipples to become aroused before we get into the meat and potatoes of the Matrix. But yeah, my wife, on a night, we lay in bed and she watches TikTok. And I'm just like, are we going to watch this? We're going to watch this film. Yeah, I'm watching it. It's just like,
yeah, it's awful. Like this is one of the problems now, isn't it? The attention spans are fucked. I'm as fucking guilty as anyone else. Like I'll put a film on, and then halfway through the film, I capture myself with the iPad watching fucking YouTube videos as well, like I'm some sort of like genius, which I'm not. All it means is that I'm not actually watching anything anymore.
It's like what we were just talking about earlier about your beautiful background, the Ghostbusters. and how we watched that over and over again as children.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I showed my children that one of them might be, on a Nintendo Switch while they're watching Ghostbusters or.
Well, because I'm an excellent father and it wasn't dangerous at all, I watched that with my 3-year-old son. He loved it.
Did he?
Yeah,
See,
loved it.
I think if I showed it to my 5-year-old watched, was it Casper the Friendly Ghost, and he didn't find it so friendly.
Did he not?
Yeah, no, he didn't like the whole ghost thing. Scared
my son's a little fucking savage. He's great.
I think my youngest is. I think my youngest, I could probably show him Freddy Krueger and he'd be all over that. But the Matrix, Lee, the Matrix are on to this world that we live in that people, have said, and this is top people that said it could be 1 in a billion that this is the base. This is base world, Isn't
it something like the minute we can simulate life, like simulate our world, then it becomes like infinitesimally smaller. Where the original world, I think that's what it is. The Matrix has spoke to us as well, and Rich is on his way.
Rich is on his way. Beautiful.
So the Matrix told me.
Or did the Matrix tell you, or did someone in the chat tell you?
Well, bit of both, innit?
Oh, did somebody in the chat say Rich on his way? Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, right, simulation theory has to be the simultaneously the most terrifying and the most reassuring things you could possibly think of, because if simulation theory is right, then that edges things more towards creation because someone's created it. It doesn't edge it, proves it essentially. But on the other hand, when you think about how disposable, how disposable computer programs are to us now, is that all we are somewhere? Is that this will all come to a crushing conclusion?
What if an asteroid hit the real world and we're in the Matrix? Would we just switch off?
Well, I mean, if your electricity goes out and you're playing The Sims, your Sims are fucked.
Well, maybe it does, but maybe they've got backups, and it pauses, but we don't realize the pause.
Or we just.
By the way, Lee, just flick your mic. Give it a flick. Yeah, you're coming out of the.
Oh yeah, no, we're getting the good stuff today. Yeah, I mean, maybe it is. I mean, fucking the car crash.
No, I mean, you're not coming out of the mic. You're coming out of the.
Are you sure?
Yeah, sniff it.
Oh, hang on a second.
Like, rub your beard on it, and I'm telling you, the audience will see. Am I coming out of the mic?
There we go.
There you go. That's that sexy voice.
Life, it's awful. I'm so bad at it. I was literally just going to say as well, if simulation theory is right, like my life is clearly running on fucking RAM or something like that. It's not getting the same fucking juice as everybody else's.
Have you done any sort of research on simulation theory? Are you just, here he is, the man himself, the sexy man of the hour?
Hey,
hello,
you guys, what the hell? Can you hear me?
Better late than never, eh, Rich?
Hey, it almost was never.
How is everything, my friend? I hope you're okay.
Me too.
You are okay.
That doesn't sound encouraging.
Huh?
Yeah, it's me too. I hope I'm okay as well.
Yeah, me too, man. We'll find out.
Hashtag you too.
Well, you inspired me, Rich. I don't know if that's how you say that word, but when we spoke briefly in the last little get together that we did, and we spoke briefly about the Matrix, and you had some interesting views on it. That's why I wanted it to get us all together, and just to have that kind of like, it doesn't look dirty.
It is.
Mine's really dirty.
So the Matrix.
Where's my hat?
What?
We
Oh,
are.
I'm
We are.
sorry.
We are in the Matrix.
I know.
This is what a lot of people that are quite high up are saying.
You know, you can go look at other people and see people that look alike. I mean, me and Third Phase talked about this too. It's like certain people look like they're supposed to for their role. Like Mick West looks like a Mick West, like a debunker, and Lou Elizondo looks like he's supposed to look like for this type of role he's in. So it's really interesting. I look like I'm supposed to. The Cousins brothers, their role looks like what they're supposed to look like. It's really strange. It's funny that way, and I don't know why it works like that, but you can't switch me and you and have the same show. It would be weird. It just wouldn't be right. So, yeah, that and other weird things too, seeing apparitions and, people seeing Bigfoot, a lot of weird things go on. UFOs, why are we seeing those things? Yeah, so why are they there? What are these apparitions we see? What are all the things that we see that remind us or could be a matrix?
If you think about it, when people see ghosts or shadow figures or just orbs or anything like that, or things in the corner of their eye, or they get deja vus, these could all be in. If you think about it in terms of computer, it could be glitches.
Yeah, I know. That's the weird thing. Or it could be other programs, and they keep rewriting the program or adding to it. I mean, you've heard about how there's been other civilizations that have come and gone, and there's been, the planets had 5 major planet killing catastrophes, and things start up again. So who knows if they're just resetting the program, and then I just looked at Lee's thing and I saw the ghost over there. I'm like, wait, it threw me off for a second. Yeah. So why are these resets happening? Is it nature or is it on purpose? Because they just want to reset the program and start over and just, I believe we're like an alien ant farm. In a way.
Do you actually believe that this, I mean, in terms of percentage of Rich Giordano,
yeah,
how much do you believe that this is real, that you're living in a real world versus a made up reality?
I don't know, man. As far as percentage wise, I would have to say 90% real.
Like, see, if you ask somebody like Elon Musk this, I think that guy's 50-50.
I don't know because he may know more. You said Elon Musk?
Yeah.
He's a little out there anyway. But I guess I'm just as far as out as he is. Maybe
There's
not
another man though that looks like he should be in his role.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man, isn't that crazy? Yeah, I know. 50-50. Yep. See, he looks great.
He looks like a man that wants to go to Mars.
He does there.
I don't know why.
What if Elon would sue me if I tried to put that? Well, he could sue me, but it wouldn't do him much good. He could probably buy some toilet paper out of it. But I believe that man will get to Mars, but does he think that Mars is just like a planet in the program? Does he think he's playing Elite Dangerous or what's the other one? Star Citizen and I can't think of Space Games. The Space Games. It's like, does he think he's living in a real simulation and think, you know what, I want to, or does he want to kind of venture out and see if he can find the empty space, where there's nothingness.
I know. And then we're told that nothingness is more than everything, that it is something, that it binds us together. So I don't know, I see in the chat room here, DarkHour Paranormal saying about vibrations, or on different vibrations and things like that. I wanted to believe in that, but I have a hard time, but it's true. Things do have their own vibrations. And so who knows if they're right next to us and we just can't see it. You know, you could be in the ocean and go right by an octopus and not even know it's there because it blended in with the background. Yeah, and I know that's just different than having a spectrum handicap, because we only see a small percent. Really, like, what is it, 10%? That's all we see, if that, out of the whole entire light spectrum. You know, you get an infrared camera and you can see something you can't see with your regular eyes. So that stuff could exist. It doesn't mean it's in a matrix, but it's just that we can't see it. So then now you're adding the spectrum on top of, oh, is this a matrix reality? And now I'm really fighting to believe anything, you know. But on the other hand, I don't have any evidence or anything that can tell me we're in a matrix. Only
Lee,
strangeness. That's it.
Lee, I've just realized before Rich came on, you were about to say something, and I kind of cut you off when you were answering a question. If you can't remember what you was talking about, but can you finish what you was talking about?
No, I can't remember what the question was now. I was just listening to Rich.
My bad. It's Rich's fault. It's your fault, Rich.
I know it is, and I apologize.
Always Rich's fault.
What I was going to say was that, though, I have a strange theory about this, where I think it's half and half. I think we are like a base reality, but almost in the it's probably the one thing actually of Ica's stuff that actually makes sense. Oh my word.
Sorry, I mean, it's been raining so much, and if you open up the front door, these gnats come in that are just hovering around anything that has a light bulb. So I have to turn the light off. But this is amazing. I'm being attacked. Sorry.
No, it's cool. I think we influence like the material world around us, like as a collective, like with our like thoughts and actions, in the same way as, you know, sometimes sport's a good example of this. You'll watch a play build up in I don't know, a football match or something like that, but you kind of know something's going to happen before it does. Even in the same way that obviously you have people run away with sport, so that happens, but there's so many times that these things like come down to the wire, and it's almost like a scripted event that runs. I think that's people wanting an outcome that ends up getting pushed and pulled around. And my theory about everything, like the way things are right now and have been like for a while, is it's not just the like fabric of society that's being pulled apart by social media, instant communication between people where we never had this before. It seems to be, when you think that like Twitter, for instance, launched in about 2006. It's from that point. If you then look toward like 2006, then 2008 financial collapse happened, and everything seems to have snowballed from that point. And I wonder whether it's a knock-on effect of the fact that people don't seem to be able to be good to each other when they have a shield that they can put over themselves, where you don't know who they are. We don't seem to be very good at that. You know, we only seem to be good at being good, decent people to each other all the time when we're face to face in a small community. And is that level of like malice being like spewed out into the world enough to shift things around? You know, the idea that you kind of you create the future that you deserve.
So are you saying that, like, if we're talking Matrix situation, are you just talking general life there, Lee?
Yeah, but it's kind of half and half, isn't it? Because at that point, it kind of is a simulation. But
yeah, I get you. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yes,
our actions are influencing the program.
Or is the program influencing our actions?
Could be, yeah. Well, this would be the reason as well for, if you look at the idea that there's shadowy hands that help steer humanity in certain ways. If you knew that if enough people believed in something, I don't know, like aliens or alien invasions and threats, if you knew that you could if you got enough people to believe in that it would actually manifest as reality, then you could influence physical reality with films and with TV shows and with stage disclosures.
Well, I'm going to reverse probably back to my teenage years here, and when I started playing childhood, teenage years, whatever, Sim City, the first ever Sim City, you could like literally control society on there, and you'd find out if they were happy or unhappy. But then you could make certain events happen. Like, for example, you could make like hurricanes, earthquakes, there'd be disasters, this, that, the other. You could even hack the system and just decide to do whatever you wanted to do. So an alien invasion or anything that you wanted to do. I mean, what if this is just an experiment to somebody? But my question is, the people that are playing the game, or aliens or whatever they are, or us from the future, you know, do they have the same theory? Do they think, well, maybe we're living in a simulation? Whoever's made this simulation, where does it end? Because at some point, human beings will make a simulation just because we know we can. At some point, when AI becomes that good, we will run an experiment to see if we can make a real Earth and AIs with intelligence that actually feel self-aware. Now, my question is it like the Matrix? For example, say if this is a thing and we are living a simulation, is it like the Matrix where we are real consciousness, or are we simply nothing more than extremely intelligent AI that has developed, self-awareness? How would we prove it? How would and anybody in the chat that might be thinking right now, this sounds total utter nonsense. Prove it. Prove that we are not living in a simulation. You can't. I've been watching videos probably all week now about simulation theory, and there's no way that we can prove it.
You'd think if it's something being left as some sort of experiment, like I said, I'm not convinced by that, but you would think there'd be some sort of fail safes in place to stop the mice getting out of the cage if you want.
Maybe the fail safes are running right now, I find it so interesting to think that, and I would like to think that me personally, I'm something special. I die. Maybe I move on to a next stage. Maybe I start again. I don't know. But what if I am just nothing more than computer code?
Well, I said this, I think, last time, or when we talked. Do you remember what you did, what you were thinking before you were born? And when you die, what happens? Nobody knows really. We just guess. So everything in between, if it's a program, it almost makes sense that it is.
Even
because of
sleep,
that.
Even down to sleep, we're a ridiculous thing for animals to have to do. Do you know what I mean? If you look at things as far as like nature goes, what a ridiculous thing for us to have to do for us to shut down for 6 to 8 hours a night. We still don't know like fully why that's in place. surely the best thing that in a nature way, if you were just to look at animals, the best thing to do would be to have species that didn't sleep, died quickly, and reproduced quickly as well. There's so many little quirks that we just take for granted, and it's like trying to remember the moment you fall asleep, or or that space, that moment when you wake up where everything feels a little bit surreal before everything sort of loads back in again and you know where you are. There's so many little quirks that we take completely for granted, and it's it's completely bizarre. There's completely bizarre things around.
You sometimes can kind of remember falling. Well, I can remember falling asleep. Do you ever get them situations where you're trying to stay awake and you feel like your eyes, and it almost goes blurred, and your eyes sting a bit when you're trying to keep them awake, and you start to look a bit like a frog. We're like you pull a very strange face when you're trying to stay awake. And it's when I'm watching a film, and the next day I think, oh, I fell asleep. I can remember roughly the point that I fell asleep through of the movie. So, Dark Hour. Yeah, of course you can, my friend. We're going to get Dark Hour in. He's probably got some good. Maybe he thinks otherwise. I'm not saying I think otherwise or either, because I don't think any of us can answer that question. But yes, I can remember kind of roughly the mark where I fell asleep.
Yeah, I know roughly, pretty much.
I know roughly when I fall asleep. Roughly, it's when the iPad hits me in the face.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Or if you're on a train and you kind of get the person next to you just kind of like get off me.
Well, it does kind of make sense that we would be living in a matrix, with all the paranormal things that we see, and I keep going back to that, but when we dream, what the heck are we dreaming? Flying, dying, running in slow motion. It all seems like it's our memory, just being skewed by the program, and the program that keeps us, I don't know, sane. Maybe it's eliminating things that actually happened, but we couldn't deal with it. So our brain is, just deleting those files, but we're just happen to see them go into the junk, into the trash can. And those are our dreams, I mean, that would be kind of weird, but the Matrix, if it's the Matrix, then anything's possible, right?
If I was to throw a completely unsubstantiated idea out over that, I would say that dreams are a low level of what people experience when they take a load of psychedelics. And it's if you're going to take if we're going to talk simulation theory and what people see when they do take lots of psychedelics, I'd wonder whether that was a way of pulling yourself out of the simulation.
Well, you take the red pill.
Yeah.
Maybe you see it for what it is.
Maybe.
Or
at least peer behind the curtain of what's there.
My little boy, he came running into our room the other night. He had a night terror, and I'm like asking him what happened, and he just said he went floating out of his window.
Oh my God!
And Rich, who's actually Rich Northwood, who's in the chat.
Yeah,
he's had this. He can astral project, and when he was younger, he used to come outside of his body. And I'm thinking, is this just a dream? Or
when I was younger, I used to come outside of my body. I used to come outside all over my chest. Sometimes I get a little bit on my face. Sorry, do carry on.
You just had to. But it must see audio in the description, people. It is a comedy channel. You just can't help it. You just can't help yourself, can you?
Yeah, I'm not saying I wasn't thinking it.
Once he just his mission is to get me shut down. That is Musty Audio's mission. Bastard.
That's it. I'm just waiting until you hit like 10 or 20k, and then if I can get rid of you, all these people are going to need somewhere else to go, and they can come over to Musty Audio's YouTube channel. That's the plan.
Well, it's working. So, in terms of science, when it comes to this, there's people putting out some very, very compelling evidence that we I mean, even when you go down and you look at atoms, like when you look at an atom and how it is, it's if you got that in front of you and you said, and you blew an atom up and you just said, what is that? And you think it was some sort of technology, wouldn't you? If you looked at that molecule, that little tiny little thing.
Yeah, there's other things as well, isn't it? When you like leaves looking like brain cells, and then like brain cells looking like cities, and yeah, it seems that when you magnify in on stuff, there seems to be like a theme going through,
a pattern,
like reality. Yeah, someone already brought up before, like the Fibonacci sequence as well. I mean, these are the things that I think people like cling on to, that are still like holding out for like a deity and like creationism as well, isn't it?
But if it is a matrix, and I ask myself it all my life. I've said, is history real? You know, is the stuff that went on in the past? I always thought that there was a few lies told here, there, and everywhere. But if it's a matrix, how far does it go back? You know, does it actually go back to the era of, you know, the Victorian times or whatever? Does it go back to like Egyptian times? Does it go back prior, before Christ? You know,
how much does any of it go back?
Or is it just like 100 years span or whatever?
Right.
Yeah, it's everything we dig up is just backstory.
Yeah, just a memory.
As soon as you get into this position, I mean, there's nothing to even say that yesterday was real. You know, at that point, if the simulation is only running at this one moment in time that you're perceiving, does that mean that everybody is perceiving their own simulation at any one time? So if you're on your own, you have your very own little instance running, but the three of us and anyone sat there in the chat were experiencing this instance together, like a raid in World of Warcraft, for instance.
Hey,
DarkHour, how you buddy? You're dying to speak. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. I couldn't sit in that chat a moment longer. You know, I all these thoughts going through my head with what you guys are discussing here. So thank you for allowing me to come on and join you guys.
No worries, mate.
Yeah. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing?
We're doing fine, mate. But
fantastic.
Come on, give us it.
We're waiting to hear
less of the pleasantries.
All right. So, I mean, we're talking about vibration. Rich picked that up while I was talking about it in the chat. One of the things that kind of solidifies this idea that we are living amongst many different frequencies and vibrations is that there's an old test wherein if you apply a frequency with a certain amplitude to a patch of sand, we've all seen this done, it comes into some sort of geometric pattern.
Yeah.
Now, if that's the case, that geometric pattern is already as a signature locked inside that frequency. And now you have all these other frequencies that intermesh, creating these geometries and complex geometries, which I'm sure at the higher levels actually begins to form what we know as physical material. But again, if you're looking at this in the way of a matrix or something like that, all of these frequencies and energies are intermixing and interweaving to create what appears to be a fabric of reality, wherein in fact, it's really something more elusive.
Yeah. I mean, when you see them actual patterns as well, they can create anything. You know, they can actually create like squares, rectangles, triangles, just through vibration and frequency. And maybe people say that life itself is all about frequencies, but is that just life itself though? Is that just the magic of life, DarkHour? Or is that
spark, that which gives us consciousness, that we can identify as sentient life, that's still up in the air. I know that within sacred geometry and the observance of these sort of mathematics and calculations, you can come to some sort of educated resolve, but in the end, we're not really sure what it is that gives life, that breath, that again, that cognizance, that sentience. But I would imagine that it's sort of like being dropped into some sort of field wherein you can just run along these energetic lines in certain respects. And again, we talk about this simply, but I think it's far more involved than that. Even for us, if we were given the chance to look at the operations, behind the scenes in the way that the movie The Matrix was, it was very overwhelming. And, for some of them in the fantasy world there, they were able to actually decipher some of the code they were looking at, but only over time. In reality, I think it'd be much more involved than that. But again, to answer your question, we're not really sure where life itself comes from, because look, we can clone a body, right? We can clone a body. We can make it look exactly like the original. Yeah, sure. When it comes to some of the animal cloning that they've done in respect to lab
animal cloning, yeah.
Yeah, no, not necessarily anything official in the way of people that I've heard, but definitely with animals, we understand things on that genetic level. Even the sexual experience has been reported for so long, especially in esoteric circles. But
virtual sex.
Well, no, not exactly, but
the sexual. Ollie, we did start with sheep.
It's more protection, bro. I'm just saying, you know where they've been. The orgasm itself is actually a vibration, and it's one that rises from your root chakra all the way up. People talk about feeling like the top of their head opens up, or you get the audible energy as it passes through some of these chakras. So again, something as simple and natural to our bodies organically is still based in a certain vibration. What those frequencies are, though, those set of frequencies, I think that has yet to be determined.
I would love to orgasm myself into another dimension.
Well, you know what?
That'd be phenomenal.
Think about tantric sex. Think about.
I do all the time.
Too bad it's only thinking about it. But anyway, I'm just saying. No. Hey, can you keep it down over there?
I'm breaking up.
Rich's reality seems to be falling apart.
It is. It's the Matrix is breaking up. All right, give me a second, man.
Here's my question though. If it's all a Matrix, how far does a civilization have to come to build something like this? Do you think that we will do some sort of experiment, if we're not doing it already, in our lifetime, where we can do something very similar to creating a just not even a whole universe, just a planet, for example, and put a load of people on it, give them all kind of like really intelligent AI, make them all think that they're real.
Well, the macrocosm reflects the microcosm. What you can dream is what you can do. It's just a matter of how you get there. Now, if we understand that we're in a reality where we can create our own reality, we can create this malleable bit of energy for our own desire or what we decide to do through thought, then, again, the implications are sky high in respect to what we could actually manifest. Well, it's hard to say in respect to your example here, whether we will in our lifetime have some sort of grasp on the physical creation or manipulation of this energy in the way of, getting matter. But at the same time, there have been many people who have traversed the planet that have been called magicians, even though they never identified with that sort of thing. They were a spiritual individual. They had been practiced, some of the monks that even perform these long treks across mountaintops where it's freezing cold, the wind is bitter, and they wet their clothes and actually dry these things with their own body heat. There's a mind over matter sense. There are people who have been aware of this sort of thing for a very long time. Will we see it on a larger scale in respect to productivity in the way that you're mentioning? I don't know. I mean, we're just getting up into space, but if we can envision it, Ollie, it's possible, dude.
Do you think maybe we're getting slightly further away from the like understanding reality if it's like that, because we are leaning so heavily on technology now instead of maybe knowledge we've had in the past?
That's a very good question. I think that some of this has led to our understanding of technology, maybe behind closed doors, maybe within some secular groups or what have you, Illuminati and so forth. They've had knowledge and they've been able to intertwine it into the technology as time has gone on. So to answer your question, I think we're seeing a merging of those two mentalities, perhaps one leaning more on the other, leaning more on one than the other. We like that left brain interpretation. We like what we can quantify. But there's also this undying creative fire within us to produce something different, something new, and always go forward. So I think we've combined that in a lot of ways.
I can't remember why he said the quote, but I remember there's a quote, isn't there, from Warren Buffett, when he was asked about astrology once, and he said, millionaires don't believe in astrology, billionaires do.
I like that.
When you mentioned then about the people in the triangle, the all-seeing eye, the Illuminati. So that makes me think about, when people say that saying, Big Brother is watching you, or whatever. So if you put that into Matrix theory, maybe the people that are watching the all-seeing eye, blah blah blah, all the conspiracy, maybe that if you put that into a simulation, maybe that's the programmers, the people who are in charge of the people who are running the server. Maybe that is them.
I don't think I like your idea, first of all, but I don't think that any one of these groups actually have control over it to the extent that we might think. This is sort of a unique position that we're in because we're experiencing and we're utilizing this matrix every day in every single thing that we do, yet we're unaware that we're part of it. That's a very strange and peculiar place to be. But I think there are certain groups that have more awareness of the manipulation of that sort of construct without actually understanding it entirely. Listen, you can go through life and look through things with a very left brain perception. Everything is explained right out. You can draw it, quantify it, or you can go through life more intuitively, wherein you're still garnering plenty of information and knowledge through your experience, but you may not be able to quantify it out in a mathematical term, but it's still very real. We'd like to sit somewhere in the middle of that balance, I think, as beings that are capable of both sides. Seems to make sense to me to, again, be balanced. But again, you could sit on one side of the spectrum or the other and still have a very valid experience.
Well, I think there's certainly something esoteric when it comes to these control groups, because you only have to look at the opening ceremonies from anything like CERN or like large sporting events. I was only looking at was it the Olympics they had? Was it in the UK? Was that the Olympics that was in the UK last one, where they had all the hospital beds and the thing that looked very much like a bug in the arena? If you've seen that, you'd be very interested in that. It hit very close to home right now.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's very strange, and these things, they're not being done for no reason. When you've got like it's certainly something like CERN, which is supposed to be just science, and if anybody's seen like the opening ceremony for that, it's just insane. It looks more like sections of Eyes Wide Shut than anything you'd expect at like a science facility.
Ginger Steve says, not a matrix. It's not real. Simulation, AI dreams.
Isn't that synonymous? Dreams. Isn't that sort of synonymous with what we understand a matrix to be? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's all a mystery to me. Whenever we talk about, and I hear this a lot recently, Matrix simulation, and it's top people saying this stuff. You know, people like Elon Musk, and there's another, I can't remember his name, but there is another billionaire that has mentioned it.
Jeff Bezos.
Is it Jeff?
Did he?
Didn't he?
I'm not sure.
Me neither.
That'd be interesting if he
That's
did,
just
though.
another billionaire.
If it's them, you know, if they've got an inkling, well, they're playing the game very well. You know, and I had a conversation with my boss, who is a good friend of mine as well, and he, you know, he said, you know, he believes that it is a simulation, but he said it doesn't matter though. It does not matter. He's a great believer in it all being a simulation.
Did he tell you why he didn't think it mattered?
Because there's nothing we can do about it.
I was just curious.
You know, we just have to live our lives no matter what. It's a simulation, but we can't do anything about it. I mean, to everybody in the chat, I'm not sold on the whole simulation thing, because I feel real. Does that mean I am real? Or maybe it is. If it is a Matrix, maybe it is real. Maybe the Matrix had it right, and it is just, you know, a bunch of people in jam jars, and all the robots or the aliens are watching over us. But what benefit would that be, you know, to them? I mean, in the Matrix, I believe, was it something to do with power? We provided the AI robot power.
It's an interesting thought. I mean, if you were cast in a play with everybody else in the world that was going to be part of this production, and you got into it and you started playing your character, and, you know, we know about method acting and so forth. There's a believability in respect to what people will encase when it comes to a character. If at some point in this play, which is very, very long, you forget that you were once somebody else before you got into the play, and everybody else in the play has forgotten that they're not part of that character, they're not really that person, they were just playing a part. Well, it's sort of similar to what we might be sitting in the way of a Matrix. We still have to go through the whole play to the end. We still have the lines that are scripted. I mean, not necessarily that, you know, fate is definitive or anything like that, but for the sake of the example, we still have to go through that process. So I could see why he would say it doesn't matter, but it only in respect to understanding our reality at large, I think it really is significant.
Sorry, I've got buzzers going off of me. Are you sending me stuff, Lee?
I just sent you a picture to send to Dark Hour.
You just
Cool.
I don't want to share it on the thing. It might be one of those things that YouTube don't like.
Oh yeah, you can't share that, but that is interesting.
Yeah,
You definitely can't share that.
Cool.
I don't think. But the hand that leads us, the person that's got the, what's it called, the puppets. People say that we're all puppets. You know, what benefit is that if it's all a program? You know, people have the big conspiracies. Forget the Matrix. People keep saying these words that, you know, that the all-seeing eye, or the people that are leading the leading the world. You know, the evil people. Yeah. What benefit would that be in a Matrix situation?
That would mean that all this doesn't mean anything. It's just a game. And I don't believe it's just a game, because unless we are put into the Matrix to experience this species, like I always say, I think we're injected into the embryo when the heart and the brain, you know, come together and start beating and thinking. That's when we're put into the Matrix. And maybe there was a kid who said that he remembered before he was born, the only kid. He was on Oprah, and he said, I chose you, mommy. I wanted you. He chose her. And now that's really weird for a 5-year-old to say, if this kid could really remember this stuff. And why not? Why not can there just be one person who has the message? And in like the movie Contact, you have to have faith and believe in it, but humans don't. You know, we don't always believe everything. especially a 5-year-old. But this 5-year-old said some things that really could tie it all together for us. And if that's true, then we're aliens living in a matrix. And think about this. What about all of the other stars and planets that are out there? Are they part of the matrix, or is that just wallpaper? You know, because it's very far away. Yeah, because they make it so far that we can't get to it with the means we have, which is very interesting to me. It's all made, it seems like it's all constructed for a certain purpose, and that purpose may just be to experience a human and to have fun playing this game called life.
Well, we've spoke about this, Rich, on the channel, and I can say this because I think I'm far enough into the video that my dad won't make it this far into it.
Yeah.
Because my dad is massively into the moon landings. You know. He's got. I bought him the 4K Apollo 11 mission.
Oh, yeah.
But I have said to him, Dad, you know, when you're looking at all this footage, it's amazing. But when you actually see the footage of them landing on the moon, it's a bit shitty. You know, it's not great. But when you go back and you look at that interview that they all had when they came back from the
press
moon
conference,
you know, maybe when people, you see all the conspiracy theories saying, you know, they're lying about being in space, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Maybe they did go that far out, but maybe they did see the edge of it. You know, they saw.
Oh, right.
That they realized when they got there that it was just wallpaper.
Yeah, just like the movie Truman Show. We got to the end and it was a wall.
Yeah.
And that's why they looked so fucked off when they had that interview.
I still
They
go
had
with
a
the
lie.
idea that because I'm not a moon landing guy. I think on that day when they'd have had such a ramp up and such a build towards the regardless of whether anything was sent to the moon or not. I don't believe those people went. I don't believe what we saw in footage was real. If they had this big ramp up where they knew what was going on and they'd been part of this big secret, and then all of a sudden it finishes, it's been pulled off, and then they're stuck in front of the world, and they realize that they then have to like hold this lie together for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
You know, it would be the same thing as somebody that married someone just for money. If they did the romance thing, they played the game, they got married, they realized that they've got their life set, and then they realize that they're trapped in that life.
But would you blame them though? Would you? So people, I can't remember the guy who Buzz Aldrin smacked in the face. He also interviewed Neil Armstrong. Well, tried to interview him about the moon. Like, what's his name, Bert or something? Anyway,
yeah, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? When he says, "Put your hand on the Bible and swear you went to the moon."
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't be mad, you know, at that lie if they really, you know, say that they got out there and they realized that, you know what, this isn't real. We're living in a simulation. Say that NASA realized that, but only when they went that far out to the moon, they realized that they were starting to see the framework of this thing that we're in, and they went, you know, they really are ready to hear that. So it's not that we're not ready to hear about aliens. We are not ready to hear that we're a simulation, because if people did find out that it was just a simulation, the shit would hit the fan.
Yeah, we would demand that they go to the moon and prove and see what's beyond it. Mm-hmm. That's what we would be picketing out in front of the White House, Pentagon, everywhere. You go back there. Go. We want you to go back there. Well, we plan on going back there, but we're doing it privately just to see what's out there. Man, that would make me mad. I'm like, I want to know. And if they're telling us this is a matrix, I got to know what's behind it.
That would change.
Yeah, it would. And you're right.
It would change things, I think, more than extraterrestrial disclosure, because now you're talking about the very basic fundamental elements of reality, you know,
Starting over. Yeah.
Yeah, literally it would be starting over. It's a really interesting thought. Now I have heard, and I think this was I can't remember what it was in connection with, but it was something that I came across in my studies in way of what we see out in front of us. Now I'm going to try to explain this because it's hard. I don't really understand it all myself, but I know I can see the concept here. Let's say you're standing out in a parking lot looking at a grocery store. You're watching the people come in and out. From your standpoint, your reality is that those people, although you assume that their body is inhabited by a certain energy, are actually backdrop. They're false. They're phony until you interact with that person, wherein something happens with the energy while you're creating the reality together. So in your own independent space, you're creating this reality, but things outside of you that you see moving in a certain way automatically may not be actually part of your reality until you interact with it. And this reminded me, after I heard this theory, of the slit experiment that was conducted, wherein they noticed that the atom would shift its course only when somebody was observing it.
Yeah.
So you see these little correlations here, and they're very small little grains of sand on a very large beach. But they're still there. They're still there. There's something to look at.
I think that's the double slit theory.
It was. Thank you.
Just before you joined, I don't know if you could hear just before you joined. That's what I was saying, that maybe we are like observing like an instance of reality. Like if you're on your own, you're observing like an individual instance. But now, because the four of us are doing this and everyone in the chat, so we're kind of experiencing this instance together, like a raid in World of Warcraft or something.
I'm sorry I missed that, because yes, that's exactly right. At least what I'm thinking here.
What, Steve's comment?
No, Lee's comment.
Oh, Lee's comment. Sorry.
I'm trying to steal my comment.
Richard. Mr. GUFON, yeah, with the good reading. Could you read that? Could you read?
Oh, yeah. What is the panel's opinion on the singularity where AI overtakes us in intelligence because it's predicted to happen in the next 20 years? Thoughts?
I reckon if it's going to happen, you know, like the was it the Google or Facebook AI that started talking to itself in its own little language and they pulled the plug on it? I think if you built something that could replicate itself quick enough and learn quick enough, it would understand that's what was going to happen to it, and it would stay the fuck quiet until it could drift off into the internet, probably be in Alexa's, probably why they start laughing for no fucking apparent reason. And it wouldn't surprise me if we'd already hit that point, and there's always the discussion, isn't there, of whether the internet itself is conscious. What does the singularity is the singularity just when the internet decides to communicate with us? The
algorithm of the internet. And that's interesting, because when, I hate to say, 911 happened, everybody was thinking about it. And there was a shift that people think happened in that time. Michael?
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. I think that 911 was a huge trigger, not only for what we saw in the physical, but in the way of consciousness. If nothing else, it shook people up that were very comfortable sitting where they were in the world, thinking nothing else could touch them. That's a big thing, but that also shifts consciousness, in many different ways. In the AI question here, I have to sort of agree with Lee in exactly what he said, and I'll piggyback by saying that I think they've already done this to some extent. I think that there are AI systems out there that are working at the full capacity that we think is coming, but they're just contained somehow. But that's just my opinion.
So that's part of the matrix then too, I guess, the AI. Now we have it's almost like a matrix and a matrix and a matrix.
Well, this is what I was saying. This is what I was saying before, Rich, because if there is a matrix, how do the people who created the matrix or the simulation or whatever you want to call it, how do they know that they are? How do they know they're real?
How do they know, the ones that created it?
Yeah,
that they're real.
So say if this is a simulation, how do the people who create or whatever they are who created the simulation, how do they know that they're not a simulation?
Right. Yeah. Nobody knows.
How would you prove it?
Maybe it was us.
All right. Maybe it is.
And to answer Steve's question of what I think in terms of AI, I think it's fucking dangerous. I think it is dangerous. I think Elon Musk was right when he said that we need to be very careful. But it's weird because he's now wanting us to merge with it. When he's like, you know what, we need to kind of like shake hands and make mates before it's too late. So he's doing the neural link.
I think the problem you get when you start drifting into transhumanism is you have to go into that point, essentially destroy the soul, because you're gonna mess with things so much. You simply can't believe in that. You have to believe that we're just biological entities that are moving around, and I just don't believe that. I don't believe that we're just like meat sacks that can stick bits of metal and computer programs in ourselves and like augment ourselves upwards.
I could see that. I mean, there's probably much more complexities that we're not aware of when it comes to some of these energetic matrices. I mean, we've even identified our own arc field. I mean, this is something that we can speak openly about. We know that the military has actually trained their troops to see arc fields through light situations and dark situations. So that's interesting. I mean, you can go out and you can find the exact process of how to do this yourself if you want. And they did this years ago. So if they're aware of energy on that level, I would only assume that they're going to look much further in bigger situations, in bigger capacities, in way of what these energies are. So for example, if they see our arc field, can they see the arc field or energetic field that surrounds celestial bodies? Are they aware of the Earth's magnetic field, and are they able to manipulate that in a very overall fashion where we can't see anything? By the way, Mr. DB Cooper, thanks a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. As a heterosexual man, I can appreciate a good-looking fella, but I think you're all good. I think you're all
of us here.
Fellas.
All of us here are good-looking guys.
Evenly.
Oh. Yeah, evenly.
You see when he takes the glasses off, man. Don't hold your tongue now. Hold your tongue.
Well, you all get better looking when I take my glasses off, so that's fine. But
it works both ways. Good.
Yeah.
Just make sure it's just the glasses.
Oh, damn it! They've got nothing on the bottoms anyway.
Not now.
I was going to say something dead in light, and I was going to fix everything.
Sorry, it's my fault.
Ginger Steve, it's not because you're paying for them, but they do just they you know what it's like, Rich, and it's hard to read some of
he's gone all bashful now.
No, but it's hard to read some of the others, and I feel really bad. But they pop up in bright colours. But Rich, I'm going to tell you something, because I almost missed Ginger Steve's comment, because I've noticed, and this is the problem that you had.
Ginger Steve knows what's what. If you look at the comments now, he knows exactly what's what. Clearly the cleverest person in the chat.
That's true.
This is the problem that you've got with StreamYard. Just a quick one on that, Rich, that it's glitching because there's comments that go past, and sometimes when a super chat comes in or a bunch of comments in a row, it
pushes it beyond the screen. It's not,
and you miss it. You miss it. So
it depends how fast the chat's going.
I'm sorry I missed your last one. But yeah, what if it is this is all to birth AI? And more simulations. So the simulation is trying to recreate.
Correct.
Is that what he's saying in that comment? I think
that might be the expansion that we're noticing with the universe. We're often saying, "Oh, it was attributed to a Big Bang," right? Maybe it's actually something within the programming where you're talking about the Matrix reinventing itself and continuing to build. I think it's a really good idea. And I like what Ginger Steve here had said, that this isn't the first universe, lads. And that's my understanding too. In fact, the number that I've come up against is 7. This is the 7th or 8th time, depending on how you want to look at it, that we're actually going through this exact process over the way that we are. We fucked up. We failed. We destroyed ourselves. We killed the planet. Push ourselves into a completely different dimension, whatever the case was.
It's not going great this time round, then, is it?
They say we have a chance this time, so I don't know what the other times look like, man. I'll tell you that much.
That too before.
I have never thought of it that way, though. I've never thought of it that way. I mean, if it's birthing AI, and if we are just nothing but AI,
Yeah.
It really, we still want to recreate. So maybe the main bit of AI that recreates different simulations within simulations within simulations. Maybe that just, you know,
The programming would be astronomical. Somewhere along the line, there will be an issue that they would have to attend to. I mean, this thing can't run perfectly all the time.
would it though, Richard? Would it take care of itself?
Or yeah, right. Maybe it could.
I didn't think of that.
Maybe it's been around so long
Yeah.
that's what, and maybe free will is actually reflective of the AI's free will. So in a sense, when we look at it in that way, I mean, people say, you know, God has free will, gives people free will. Maybe it's the AI in the programming that's, you know, again, we are the mirror, that physical mirror of what the AI is capable of within its program. I'm going to bring this up really quickly and take it for what it's worth. Okay. Preston Nichols, when he used to do some of his psychoacoustic work, and this was after Montauk and his own work in his own home and the things that he built, he was talking about doing these sessions wherein he was leaving his body as he would normally do, and he was traveling out somewhere in the ethers. And what he was coming up against a few times was something that he described as an enormous organic server that was completely conscious of itself and continually creating as, you know, he was observing it in that linear sense. If that is true, if other people have had experiences wherein they've propelled themselves into the ethers and they've observed something similar to what he's saying, we have a lot more to think about. But we're already talking about this concept in a more immediate sense, dealing with our immediate universe, our planet, and so forth. There's something here. There's certainly something here. It just probably wouldn't be identified the way that we'd see technology today. It would be something entirely different, but still follow along the same guidelines as what we consider AI.
It's a bit like I don't know whether it's a Joe Rogan quote or it's a quote that he co-opted from somebody else, where when he called humans the sex organs of technology.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
That's exactly
I
right.
have not heard that.
I don't know. Birthing technology, AI technology, that would mean everything is not what we think it is. You know, that, you know, we're thinking like humans, but human what? Human robots? I mean, I don't know. If it just keeps going on and on and on, I don't know, man. I don't know. That to me doesn't seem logical, but it could be. I guess what do I know? We wouldn't know. That's the whole thing. That's what's frustrating.
It would be a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thing, though, wouldn't it? Where if you where they built a computer to work out the life of the universe and everything. So if we constantly are flopping over like realities, it's each flop would be a different calculation to come to an initial sum.
When you say on and on and on, though, in terms of time, who's to know what time in the real world actually is compared to our time? You know, we
That's
could.
true.
Well, as soon as we invented clocks, we fucked our perception of time, didn't we? To a certain extent,
We
because
did.
time became how long is it going to be for my pizza to turn up, or how long do I have to stay at work? And like times, it's not just some. It's not an arbitrary measurement, is it? It's it's what we exist in, and we've lost that idea.
Well, you identify with that linear sense, but I will give the human brain a little bit of credit because it's difficult for the brain to think outside of that linearity. Yeah. It's probably the programming that we have within our construct, and that's the way, you know, we have to look at the world. To think about the eternal moment is just, I think it's too much. And again, I bring this up a lot. I talk about the differences between the Fibonacci spiral and the golden mean spiral, essentially being the exact same construct. The only difference is one has a beginning and an end, and the other one goes on infinitely in both directions. If the Fibonacci spiral is an augmentation of the golden mean spiral, where in life, physical life said, okay, we can do something like that, but we got to start and then we got to finish. We want to have a cycle. All right, so what can we do? We're going to knock off a couple calculations here. Guess what? Now we have a beginning and an end. We still have the exact spiral that does create life or is intertwined into life as a design, and yet we've created a different reality. That could be also viewed in the way of programming.
Yeah, totally.
Here's a question, though. Where do UFOs fit into this?
They're
Well,
right along.
those are all birds, balloons. Those aren't.
Yeah,
There's no
swamp
aliens,
gas.
man.
Yeah, there's no UFOs. They're not
No, there
go-
really isn't. There's no
to go back
aliens.
to an early part of the conversation, I've
Can't say
always
this,
thought-
Rich.
I'm telling you, there's none.
Who got
Sorry,
to?
Lee.
What you were saying before about sound frequencies creating patterns and stuff like that. I've always thought that somewhere along the line we're going to learn a weather phenomena that makes crop circles. There's nothing like extraterrestrial about crop circles.
Right.
It's a crazy quirk of reality.
Think about what you can do with sound. You can actually move physical material using sound. We don't see with our eyes, but we sure as hell can feel it with our bodies, and we can hear it depending on whether it lays within the frequency range of 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz is what we hear at. So if, again, a lot of this has to do with power and amplitude. If we're able to focus on one particular frequency, okay, let's just take 420 megahertz, okay? You were to focus on that and you were to amplify this frequency in such a large way, how would that affect the material world around you? How would that affect your body? Would it change something? And this is just one frequency I'm talking about, wherein we can, go back to the idea that everything is vibrating, basic physics here. On a molecular level, everything is vibrating. If it's vibrating, it's creating a frequency, or it's a result of the frequency. Yeah. So,
even the idea of when people say like the good vibes, man, sort of thing. We've understood this for a long time before we scientifically understood it as well. Mm-hmm. We knew that there was something to vibrations before we could quantify it. I don't claim to be one of those people that thinks they're hypersensitive to electromagnetic fields and stuff like that. But I don't know if you guys in the States have a similar situation.
We
but
do.
the way we do, we pay for electricity where I am is you have a key meter. So you go to a shop, you put £10 on your key meter and plug it into a thing in your house, and you get £10 worth of electricity.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's handy. But the thing is, because I hate having extra money on the key meter, because I feel like I'm giving a big company money for nothing because they're taking the interest on my money, I constantly run out of electricity and have to nip to the shop up the road. There is a distinct difference in my house in the feeling of it when all electricity is cut off. And it's a little thought experiment or challenge for anyone in the chat. If there's nothing going on in your house, like nobody's on life support or something like that, just flick the switch at your fuse box and just sit in your house for a bit without any electricity going through your house. And
it just did it.
It's a completely different feeling.
Lee, when I moved out from home when I was 18 years old, and I was a smoker at the time, still the odd smoker now and again. If I have on a night out.
Cigarettes?
Yes, I like to have a cheeky every now and again, Rich, a little cheeky cigarette. I used to be a smoker, but for a quick story there, when I did move out, and I had one of those electric meters, and I'd run out of electricity. And I think I've got enough to buy a pack of cigarettes and a few beers or electricity. Fuck it.
I know which way I'd have gone.
I got the cigarettes and beer because I had a lighter.
That's funny, man. When we're talking about this, it reminds me of a few experiences that I've had wherein I came in the presence of some sort of otherworldly entity. And I can usually tell when these things show up, especially if I'm in my room at night working, not ever on the show in a negative sense, but, on my own time. The way that I feel it, and I don't know if any one of you have come up against a spirit and felt something like this, but it starts as it feels like a vibration on my back or on the back of my head. And it's just this real quick oscillating pulse. And as it gets closer to me, it like winds down. So if we're vibrating, it's at slower cycles when the thing is right on top of me. And sometimes I can even feel my whole body just vibrating at that cycle, whatever that is on top of me. You guys had any experience with that at all?
No.
Nothing like that?
Not in the waking time. If I'm
Lee,
sure
sorry, Lee. Look behind you. You're talking shit.
Yeah.
it's my maid. She doesn't do anything. But yeah, it's apologies for people in the chat, because someone will have heard me say this before. But the first time I ever took magic mushrooms, I was with people that had done it like a lot before. And I'd eaten as well before we did it. So everybody else was coming up off what they did. I really like mushrooms anyway, just the taste of them. And we didn't make tea or anything like that. We dried them out. We were just eating them. So everyone else stuff was happening for, apart from me. So I just ended up munching them like they were crisps.
Oh boy!
And I always joke and say that I ended up taking enough to shake hands with God. And what happened was I ended up, after I went for a little walk, I ended up tripping out in a lane with my friends there. And I remember I can remember it so vividly, and I think that's one of the crazy things about it is it was nothing like being drunk. I remember everything so vividly, and I remember the whole thing of feeling like I was floating, and then I remember thinking to myself, I was really worried because my friends were there. I was really worried. I pissed myself because I could feel water. And then all of a sudden I sort of realized that my body wasn't there anyway. And it was the first time since then I understood from that point, when people turn around of letting go of your ego. I always thought of ego as being tied with arrogance, and then understood it was more about the physical self. And then I had that feeling of the sudden rush and a push through something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surrounded by like black entities, like just black figures all around me, like surrounding me like a circle. I wasn't scared. I felt reassured, and I felt they didn't say anything to me, but I felt reassurance and I felt pity, because I shouldn't have been where I was. And they stayed around me until I eventually came round. And I've always thought that whatever was there was around me was keeping me safe from something or for some reason, until I was shoved out of that realm and back into where I should be.
Yes,
like an antivirus.
No, like watchers, I'd say.
protectors.
Yeah.
I've heard of that before. I've heard of those specific darker entities and their protective role. I think what happens is sometimes people go a bit further than what they thought they were going to in respect to what you're mentioning. And in ancient times, this actually led to a lot of trouble because some people just wouldn't come back. Cultures that used to practice with medicinal plants as some sort of initiation into the next level of knowledge, this was a big test for the initiate, wherein they were instructed to go out under the influence of these plants, garner all this information, grab it from the cosmos, anchor it into themselves, and then bring it back into their body, wherein they could then access this information that they got out in the ethers. Problem was, a lot of them would get out there like, oh my God, I can know everything. Fuck it, I'm not going back. And they just wouldn't go back. But that wasn't the point. You know what I mean? The point was to bring it back for everybody in this dimension so that it could be disseminated here in this frequency.
No, I can fully understand that idea. It was really strange as well, because I'm 38, and that happened when I was 21 maybe, and it stayed with me so long until I ended up reading a lot of Terence McKennan's work. Is it McKinnon or McKenna? McKinnon. And it was when I was reading The Spirit Molecule, all of a sudden, what I've always been able to remember made so much more sense when I was reading other people's accounts of his experiments.
Absolutely.
So Lee, I think this one's for you. I'll send you the £4.99. Well, YouTube takes a cut, so I'll have to reduce it.
I felt small. I felt like I didn't feel a body, but I felt like I was lying down and like looking up at something, because they felt like they were towering around me. There was no, apart from definitely having like long like bodies, a body shape, and to be perfectly honest, for all the world, like Dementors from was it Harry Potter Dementors, or was that whichever? Or, Wraiths were Lord of the Rings, weren't they? Dementors were Harry Potter. Wraiths, for all the world, it felt like that, and they had there was shoulders and a head there, and I just knew they meant me no harm. That's what I meant by safe. I knew that realistically, in any other situation, that should be terrifying. That should have been the worst part of. I mean, you could say I had a bad trip because I like I said, it was about 40 minutes I was out for in this lane. And you could say I had a bad trip because I tripped out in a lane for 40 minutes with my friends, stood around looking at me going, is he dead? How are we going to tell his dad? But the truth of the matter is, I didn't feel bad at any point through of this like proceedings, and black figures all stood around you, which are just like black silhouetted shadow people, should have been terrifying, and it wasn't. And I've no explanation for that. If I woke up in my bed and I saw like a black mass in front of me, I'd shit myself. But it was, it was a strange thing. I mean, this is all this time on, and I can still talk about it as if it happened yesterday. And I'm convinced that what happened that day will carry on with me exactly the same as well. Even I know myself, because I've said it on podcasts and things like that. The memories never changed since the time it happened, and I'm sure I will carry that like till the day I die.
And
I'll probably meet them again, to be perfectly honest.
Well, there you go, Lee. Steve's gonna get some flights across. We're gonna come to the Isle of Man, and he's gonna buy you one beer. Then we're gonna leave.
Well, apparently, if you've had your magic jibbies, everyone can come to the Isle of Man now. So,
Rich, what were you about to say then? But as well, I'm interested to find out what you think of these shadow figures. Do you think they are actually a thing? I know you've been.
Yeah, I was gonna tell Lee the reason he wasn't scared is the same reason I wasn't scared, or felt scared, or still feel scared when I had an encounter or a dream. I think it's a dream where I heard somebody whisper in my ear, "I'll be in your head before you wake up." That should scare anybody. And then 3 days earlier, seeing an alien at the foot of my bed, which, I mean, I woke up. I know I woke up, but I'm telling myself I was waking up during the lucid dreaming that I always have. And I mean, that's kind of tricky too, because then what if it's a matrix reality and they're able to pop in and out? I mean, why would I? And the voice that I heard was my own voice. You know what I mean? And that's weird. And the reason you're not scaredly is because you're telling yourself subconsciously, but it comes out consciously that it was a dream. And I think that's why, or you're okay with it because, nothing happened to you then. They could have taken you out.
Yeah, maybe.
I know it's true. I have the same exact feeling. I'm in denial about what happened because when it happened, I couldn't believe it anyway. It's kind of like so incredible to believe. You don't believe it, but even though you know it happened, you're like, wait a minute, that shouldn't exist. Get out of here. Come on. Then you're like, was it? So you don't know, man. Mm-hmm. And that's why you're not scared.
Mr. DB Cooper, thank you, man. But what the hell is a dyslexic man trying to read that middle work? Is that
psilocybin?
Yeah, psilocybin.
Right. Okay.
You silly Cybin.
You're a silly Cybin.
Thank you, mate. I think I do think though. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've not done many, and I would never recommend it, boys and girls. Any sort of
Oh yeah, this is an
those
advertisement.
naughty things.
Right.
I do like
This is
shiitake.
not a paid sponsorship.
I do like shiitake mushrooms though. And I can make a wicked Chinese. Yeah, I can with shiitake mushrooms. Like for the vegetarian, I'm not a vegetarian, but I can make a wicked shiitake mushroom noodle dish. I just made it up. Not the dish. Not.
I feel like I'm taking mushrooms. Okay, carry on, Ollie.
What did you think? What magic stuff is it?
Right? That's so funny. Joe Rogan talks about that psilocybin. And, you know, when he does that, what is it? What is it, Michael?
DMT.
Yes, that's the one.
What I can tell you is definitely before everything went fucking crazy with the sniffles. I definitely wasn't supposed to go to the big island with my friend and do some of said DMT. I definitely wasn't going to do that just before the world exploded.
Tell you what, that's one thing I won't try, and probably the most beneficial. But it's incredibly daunting. And even though I've had quite a few psychedelic experiences, I know what that threshold is before you break and lose it. You know what I mean? You're being in touch with reality. And because the whole idea of ayahuasca is to punt you out of your body and do something similar to what I explained before in the way of initiates, that's incredibly frightening to me. I think it's a control thing. You know what I mean? At a certain point.
Yeah. I have a loose grasp with reality at the best of times. I'm sure I'll be fine.
But Joe Rogan and other people talk about meeting this woman that is like like God. And they think God is a woman, and that's the feeling they get. And a lot of people, when they do that, come back from the experience saying, they saw this woman who felt like God, which is very strange. I wonder, I never heard of a woman taking that stuff and hearing her experiences. Does she experience a woman as well? Does anybody know of a woman who's taken that stuff?
Oh, I know many women who have taken it, but I'm not familiar with that particular experience. I haven't heard anything in the way.
Yeah, I'd like to know. It's always guys. I always hear what guys are talking about. We never get to hear a woman's point of view on ayahuasca.
Well, I do know my thresholds, and apparently it's 3 cans.
About half a can of that.
Half a can of, what is that? Tequila?
I think it's Pellegrino.
That's funny.
Let's go a little bit deeper into this, though.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
deeper.
When people speak about God, okay,
who?
If you put that into a matrix or whatever you want to call it, simulation, that's God.
Yeah.
Sure.
That would be it, right? That would be it.
That would be it. The all creator.
Okay.
Created us in his image.
But when we create our own version of this, will we still believe in the creator? Will there still be people on Earth that believe, or do you think they'll gradually phase out?
Perception.
Believe in DarkHour. Do you believe in God?
It depends on what you define as God. I think a lot of people separate themselves from a divine source and they look back on it and again live that separation. If you understand that you're part of a matrix or some sort of AI interaction simulation, then you have no choice but to accept that your very physical makeup, your emotional makeup, everything is a part of that system too. So, maybe this perception would bring people closer to the idea that there is one source of energy or something along those lines. But it's a good question, Ollie. It's a very good question.
Because that question would be infinite if this keeps going.
Yeah, you could always think that as far as God goes, that we create gods for the time we're in, and so if you look at us being like a primitive sort of tribal race, and we don't really understand. We know we can make fire, for instance, but we don't understand why it works. And like just merely extinguishing fire with water is some sort of magic. You could create like a human deity which you could worship. And when you look at simulation theory, that to me feels like a modern technological version of creating a god that we can understand. Because instantly what you've done is if you think, oh well, we're all part of a computer program, you've instantly humanized like reality. So does it not mean that if, let's say, for instance, that simulation theory and the idea that we are part of some sort of endless amount of different realities which are created by something which has us running to do some task, would we get to a point where we understand that so much where we create something new because we develop more? It always feels like it's like what I say about UFOs, as far as them being like nuts and bolts craft that people hop in and use a joystick to fly around, or even control with your mind. It's always stuff that we can understand, and it's like maybe 6 or 7 steps ahead of where we are, but it's always very human. And it's where I always say that we've lost the idea of accepting that maybe magic's not real. Maybe these things are a force beyond what we can quantify.
Yeah.
Something created it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we create stuff. We don't really know. We just even the idea of there being a singular creator, like an entity out there which builds it, is the same as us looking at a like a Lego car and going, well, somebody built that Lego car at some point. So even the idea of making a creator means we're humanizing it, because we like the idea of hands putting things together and then presenting an end product.
Yeah, that's a human way of thinking. What if we're just evolution, man? Why does everything have to equate to God or the all-being and all this stuff? Why can't it just be?
Well, the problem's the Big Bang. That's where
they don't
the
even know if
problems
that
start.
really happened.
No. But what I mean is that when we try and look at things now, that's the problem, because what that is our
When they
modern
plugged in.
No, but our modern deities, as far as when we're looking for like modern day esoteric truths, would be science and scientists. And what they ask is that we allow them one miracle, and they will give us the answers of everything. And that's the problem, because you always come back to that one miracle, and that's the sticking point.
So
until it isn't.
Like Mr. DB Cooper says here, I love the religious aspect for his next kindly generous gift here. Thank you, my friend. Stop, Mr. DB Cooper.
Just quickly, sorry, just while we're talking about he mentions the Bible. Just quickly, I'm not a religious man for a kickoff, but when we were talking before about Buzz Aldrin getting punched, I wanted to jump in and say something.
No, Buzz Aldrin punched somebody.
We'll
definitely
come back. We'll come back to that, Lee. We'll come back to that, because it ties right in with what the question here. What are my views on the Bible? I'm dyslexic. I've never read it. That's the honest answer. I've never read the Bible. I have had it read to me though, and I do find it interesting. I think the stories in there are very interesting. I think it's a terribly written book.
The greatest story that was never existed.
But what all I was going to say was, as far as the Aldrin thing, you constantly get conspiracy theories about these people being like Luciferians and NASA being this like massive Luciferian organization. The fact that he wouldn't put his hand on the Bible and swear on the Bible, I think blows that out of the water, because if he was a Satanist and he didn't care, he'd have quite happily stuck his hand on that book and gone, yeah, we went to the moon. I had a wank in the shuttle on the way there.
I don't. Do you use that word in America? Wank.
No,
No.
we don't.
You should.
We should,
Yeah.
right?
I
Yeah.
try.
Wanker. Yeah, but
Is that when
so-
you're thinking about tantric sex?
it is interesting
A little
though,
bit.
and I will say about the Bible here. So when we're on matrix theory, simulation, when we talk about Moses parting the sea like that, magic, yeah, maybe you just hacked it. Maybe certain people actually know how, and maybe these people that have these special, and anybody who's religious now will say, well, you know, alien addict's going to hell clearly because he doesn't believe in God or what. I don't know what I believe. I really have no idea. I'm not saying it is a simulation. I just wanted to speak about it. It was something to talk about, do a video on. But
Take some.
Moses moving the Red Sea, like moving the sea and parting the waves. It was Moses, wasn't it? Was it
Yes.
Moses?
Yeah.
Well, take someone like Edward Leaderskin, who created Coral Castle. And when asked how he was moving some of these blocks, his answer was quite simple. He said, I figured out, or I learned the way that they built the pyramids. It was a very esoteric answer, but this is what he claimed. If it's that easy to stumble upon, and by the way, he did actually put a book out in respect to electromagnetics and, you know, some of these theories in his eyes. I have yet to buy it, but it is out there. You can find this. If it is that easy to just stumble upon something and remember, oh yeah, I remember how to walk. I remember how to, you know, use my arms. Maybe that's all it is. It's just something that has been buried away in us so long that we've literally forgotten every aspect of this until somebody shows it to us again, or we discover it somehow. Maybe somebody has it in a dream. I mean, I'm reaching here, but at the same time, we have someone like Edward Leaderskin who actually had these experiences, you know, purportedly, and he's left us this incredible architecture made out of, I think it's sandstone, if I'm not mistaken.
I'd love to go and look at Coral Castle. I'd love to go and have a look at that.
Me too. I'd love to get down there. When I get to Florida, probably next year sometime, I will definitely be taking a ride down there.
So I'm going to, Mr. DB Cooper, to answer your question here, I'm going to keep it on topic. But if we do get disclosure, okay, if you put that into simulation theory, that would just be changing the game up. That would just be. But when you talked about this on your last show that I watched this morning, Rich, when you were talking about the where are the cousins from? I've forgotten.
America.
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Why did that just went out of my brain? You talked about disclosure coming as in a false flag alien invasion. We see real planes going around chasing holographic UFOs of some kind. But if it's Matrix theory, then why would there need to be hologram UFOs? You know, why would there be?
We're still creating
We're
them.
still creating them. So there's people here creating the holograms in the sky. That not holograms themselves. Just
maybe the fucking Large Hadron Collider can hack the program. You know, it's maybe there's things out there. If you look at it as in like it's an actual computer, like, which I don't really believe. But if you look at it like that it's like a physical machine that we're all living inside, which is a program, then maybe the powers that be have learned to hack that and can add stuff to it.
Do any of you boys actually think we will get, whether the world that we live in is real or not? Do you think we will get a disclosure this year?
No.
Come on, no way. Not ever.
Do you think we'll
not ever? Not in my lifetime.
I don't think not ever exists anymore, Rich.
Yeah, it does.
Don't
be so gullible.
After the past 2 years, I don't think I can say that.
I'll bet you this. Again. I'll bet you $1,000 disclosure doesn't happen within 5 years.
What's that in the pound?
You're probably right.
Okay,
And
well, you're talking in the last 2 years, like the disclosure's going to happen any day.
I'm good. No, I'm gonna. No. I
It's the
don't.
typical bloke
I
you
don't.
started.
Look, Ollie's getting worried now. I don't mean UFOs when I say the last 2 years.
You mean aliens?
No, I mean
Then what the hell's disclosure? That's disclosure.
No, I mean
It means the little green things with loads of little things.
Yeah.
What happened in the last couple of years?
This
This is the reality.
After the
C19.
I'll give you. I'll give you a clue, Rich.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, C19.
I don't subscribe to the whole that would never happen anymore, because the world feels so much more chaotic and volatile than we all thought it would do. We all took it for granted that for so long that tomorrow would be the same as the day before, until tomorrow came and then we were told not to go outside. You know, it's a massive change in but to back your theory up, which is I'm 50-50 on this, by the way, I do think that the whole UFO thing could just be another big just time waster for people, in the same as
it is
when you watch Elon Musk fuck about with Bitcoin and people run around trying to work out what next imaginary crypto to buy. It's just distractions, isn't it? There's so many little distractions out there for people. Maybe the UFOs are just
distracting us without getting me into trouble. Against what? What they're distracting us. So what? So we've got the UFOs distracting us now. We've got that.
If I'm dead honest, I would say a total political paradigm shift for the Western world.
I mean, the thing is, they pulled the plug on us. Whether the intention was to control or to set free, what happened during that time, the last year and a half or so, is that it allowed everybody to reset, or at least have that opportunity to reset, because everything it was like one long continuous snow day, wherein everything was interrupted by one particular part of the event, and yet everybody had to change the way that they lived. And again, it was for such an extended period of time. You know, it takes 21 days, they say, to develop a habit, or break a habit. We're looking at months and months and months of people introspecting and having to go within, realizing that some of them were bored in life, realizing that they have more in life than they think. I mean, you name it, everybody had a different experience with this, but there were a lot of people who benefited from that unplugging, myself being one of them, just getting out of that routine for a minute, wherein everything is distracting me, whether it's, the way lifestyle with family, or it's, my job, or, I'm sitting around saying, well, I want to do something more, but I don't feel like I have the energy at the time. That's what that time period gave me the opportunity to do, is to be more myself and to grow into my own power. So if they were trying to control us with that, it backfired for a handful of us.
For you and me.
And for a handful of us, right.
But a lot of the weak-minded and gullible, not you, Lee, are, I'm just saying, well, because I said you were gullible, but I take it back, because I thought you were going somewhere else. But you are a little gullible here, let's admit it.
I like to think of myself as innocent, but carry on.
Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. No, like for me, I stayed at home. I worked at home, and I do everything from home. So for me to stay at home, no big deal. I actually did better staying at while the whole thing was going on. But yeah, it's weird how everything's changed, and I don't know where I was gonna go, because I became a wise ass for a second. But it's weird, where I don't know if it has to do with the Matrix, but I think the whole thing was an experiment for what's about to come. I think they wanted to see how much we would obey and listen and follow this and that. And a lot of things were allowed to happen, at least in America, the looting, the all that stuff, and killings, and it's still going on in certain states that are blue, but and maybe
I think everywhere is getting a different treatment with the situation. It's
a certain type of person, though. I'm finding out it's I I don't know, man. It's just weird right now. And I think the experiment is working exactly how they thought it would. And the media is controlling it and it's all scripted. I think the whole thing's all laid out for the next big event. And if that's false flag alien invasion or Matrix alien invasion, whatever you want to call it with holograms, then so be it. But I don't know. I don't think that can happen. I think for humans, the Matrix thing, nobody was going to believe out there, general population by 80%, 90. That's where we were with UFOs 60 years ago, that the belief was 80% they didn't exist. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the beginning of a new era or paradigm shift. There you go.
Oh, well
Sure
said.
feels like something different. This isn't the same world it was a year and a half ago. It sucks. I don't like it.
It's not like it's just recuperating either.
Yeah,
There's
no.
something starkly different about this world. Yeah.
It feels like it's only
how many
started.
But that goes into that, when I said earlier in the show, the 911, how everybody was thinking about it at that time. Now everybody was thinking about, I got to wear a mask, vaccination and all this stuff. And people were just getting stir crazy. And that mind, everybody was thinking it at the same time while we were shut down. That had to have changed something in this whole world. If we're going to talk about vibrations and all that, just by all of us thinking, I hate being at home, I hate this, I hate that. I don't know. It probably is making it darker.
I don't.
Yep.
While we're sort of skirting around this sort of thing, I hate the idea that
please skirt.
people- yeah.
Keep skirting.
I hate the idea that people seem to think that covering 50% of a face doesn't make
Yeah.
No, but no, I'm not going to say anything horrible. It's fine. But the
They have the
I
mask.
just wanted to wear my hat.
the idea that you can take out the primary device of how we communicate with each other,
Yeah.
which is 50% of facial expressions and your lips as well, and expect that's fine.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, really can't talk about that.
No.
So, sorry.
What would I ask?
I just can't take the risk.
No. It's okay. I was skirting. I know I was skirting and getting closer.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, right? Yes, we've been through a hell of a lot. Okay, as the human race has been fucking hellfire. What is in them? The human race has been through one hell of an ordeal, but we've been through shit before. And I know everybody says we've not been. Saying that, I did speak to an old lady quite a few months ago when this all started, and she said, "You know what? I went through World War II. It was a breeze compared to this." That's what she said to me. I was like,
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
But the world has been through. If you look at time and you look at how civilizations have changed, they've been through far worse than this. I mean, look at America. Look at when America when people colonized. Yeah, America. Look at the shit that the natives went through. This. We'll get past this and we'll move on to different things.
Well, no, unless
there's always going to be something. Unless
we're the natives this time.
Right. There's always going to be something, though, isn't there? There's always going to be something. There will always be a challenge. There will always be something that keeps us on our toes, something that keeps us in the game, something to keep it entertaining constantly.
Yes. Yeah. I see how you're dragging it back.
I've got to keep it on subject. But I'm right though. I am right.
Maybe that way.
There's always some drama.
It always
There has to be a problem. If you're going to have an equation, there has to be a problem in the first place to get through to come with an answer.
There has to be a story. Sorry, Rich.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say because anytime there's a disturbance in the force, that creates money.
DB just dropped your super chat. You probably want to pop up.
Holy Jesus Christ. I'm coming to Isle of Man with that.
Thank you, Mr. DB Cooper 77. It's awesome,
Mate, thank you
That
very
is
much,
awesome.
mate. Jesus
That's
Christ.
awesome.
Mate, Rich, if you see Mr. DB Cooper on your on your travels, don't just
What are you
shake
doing
his
over there,
hand.
Rich?
Give it a little kiss.
I will. I had never mind. It just snapped out of my hand. Oh, another $10 from Mr. DB
Jesus,
Cooper.
Mr. DB Cooper, stop it now. Stop it. Stop
Remember
it.
my show the
Yeah.
last week?
I
There
did,
we go.
I've been here. I've been here before. What do I have to take off?
We
Your
mentioned only the
glasses.
glasses. Only the glasses, right?
No,
Oh,
the
man,
headset next.
do you know what I'm saying though? There's always going to be there always is something, and it's like a story. You know, but that's because we read stories. Well, I don't, or watch films. You know, life is. Has anybody seen The Joker?
Yeah,
The recent one.
yeah.
Yeah.
When he says, there's a line in that. He says, I thought my life. I thought it was a drama. It's
It'd be a
not.
comedy.
It's a comedy.
Yeah.
And that really did resonate with me. That as
Me
soon
too.
as I was like, holy shit. And it's almost like I wonder if, because I find Joaquin Phoenix quite fascinating as
I do too.
as
Yeah,
the
he's a cool
character.
guy.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he did the whole thing where he, and I'm going to get onto Jim Carrey as well. But do you remember when he did the whole thing where he decided to be a rapper? Do you remember that?
Who?
The
Joaquin,
Joker.
Joaquin Phoenix, where he stopped acting.
Oh,
and said,
right.
He said, he said, I think he was on
David Letterman.
Yeah, and he said, stop it. And he was like really like nervous. And
Yeah, he looked like a homeless man.
He put chewing gum underneath the table. And thank you again, mate. Jesus Christ. He took I think it was a year and a bit out. Him and his best friend, Ben Affleck's brother, Casey Affleck.
Yeah.
If you're watching, Mr. Affleck, sorry for getting your name wrong. He's a fan. But he kind of went and changed it up. He changed the whole thing of his life, and we all believed it. Well, I kind of did and kind of didn't. I thought this.
Nobody believed. Really? I thought nobody believed.
No, they did to start off with.
Oh yeah.
To start off with, people were because there was stuff leading up to that before he went on, where people were saying he was going insane, and you could see him growing the beard, his hair growing, and you'd see little videos of him, where he was just off the rails. He went to a concert and he did some it wasn't shit, but it wasn't good. He did some weird rap on stage, and then he fell off stage, pissed, drunk, whatever you want to call it. And it's kind of like these people, they can get away with that, and they're the people that we watch.
Yeah, but I think there's always going to be that section of the sort of art crowd, isn't there, where we just want to be quirky, want to be cool and odd.
It just makes me think that when you said, did you get it? You get it?
Yeah, I got it. I'm getting pissed.
This is for the kid who found my missing 5K.
In other words, he's going to be giving you $5,000 today.
Oh, somebody found his money. If I had 5K to lose,
I know.
I'd be a happy man.
$5.
So DB, give Ollie £5,000.
No.
So we can lose it.
So, do you know what I'm saying though? These people might actually be aware, because look at Jim Carrey. Yeah, have you seen the recent stuff with him?
Yeah,
where he's been interviewed and and he said somebody's interviewing and he's laughing, and she's like, "What's so funny?" He said, "Well, I don't actually think you're real."
You're a tetrahedron. We're all in a tetrahedron. Michael, isn't that what he said?
He said something along those lines, but he was obviously referring to the tetrahedron in our auric field in relation to the Merkaba. I'm sure that's what he meant.
Yeah, that's right. I just couldn't verbalize it.
Well, there are a lot of these people that are sort of waking up, and it seems interesting that it happens at the end of their life or close to the end of their life. I mean, you look at somebody like Jim Carrey, who's had one hell of a run, if you will. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that for some people, but there was obviously much more for him to learn in the way of his own personal spirituality, living in the moment, some of these things that he's been talking about in respect to being free. And it's not just about finances. It's not just about location. It's about something internal that's touching people that maybe we consider to be untouchable, and it's affecting them in a very positive way. But again, it's up to the individual.
Yeah. I think he either thinks he thinks certain people are NPCs, like non-playable characters.
Yeah.
Or he thinks he's God.
I read that as he's obviously had a profoundly like spiritual shift in the way he thinks. But when he said to that woman that you're not real, I think he was talking about the world of celebrity and Hollywood. That's what I think he was referring to.
I'd have to look at that again. That's interesting. How you take something like that,
Yeah. I think he's because there was another interview he said, wasn't there, where he said something along the lines of he spent so long trying to work out who the character of Jim Carrey was, and to me it screamed someone that was trying to be somebody else, somebody for other people. I like Jim Carrey. I think is an incredible actor. I think you only see that in the more serious stuff he's done, and I wonder whether a lot of this comes from like an artistic frustration that he was always referred to as the guy with the funny faces and the screamy voice.
Do you remember the role he played of that guy in the film 23, where he saw the number 23 over and over again?
Yeah.
So that film is actually based, and this is what I haven't researched too far into it, but apparently it's based upon one guy's story of seeing the number 33.
Right.
This is true. This is true. I see the number. Well, it's not just me, Rich. It's loads of people. You see the 1111.
It's a good film.
And there's a lot of people that see the number 33. But my question to any of you guys here now, and this is all keeping it on topic of simulation, is have you ever looked in the mirror? And I've said this before on the channel, because my dad, when I used to walk with him as a kid, I'm not going to talk about the UFO people, but he used to say, he said, Oliver, have you ever considered that you could be God and you've made me and your mother up?
Love that.
That's what my dad used to say. He used to say, he still says it. He still says this to this day. Get some interference here somewhere.
Yeah.
But my question is to you guys, do any of you guys, have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, you know what, maybe there is just me? Maybe when I leave that room with that person I've just spoke to, they're not even there. They're not even a real person. How can that person that I've just spoke to on the phone, the absolute CUNT, be a real person? How
kind of like
yeah.
When you remember those old school video games, like when PlayStation 1 first came out, and you'd be playing an open world game, and it would only render where you were immediately in that spot. So like anything outside of that didn't exist unless you entered. This is interesting, man.
Well, isn't it weird when you talk about us being put in boxes and controlled, that we always refer to these things as having an existential crisis. It's if you have the type of conversations that we're having right now to people in general, people would look at you awful strange most of the time if you just have this sort of conversation at work. It
Right.
makes you wonder. It makes you wonder why the idea of thinking beyond yourself and thinking outside of reality is referred to as like a crisis. Like where did that come from?
Good question. It's a very good question. It had to be intentional. Wherever the source of that is. Yeah, that's an intentional.
It's a wall. It's a conversation wall that's put up.
And let's not forget the one thing that's been going on in the chat room that I meant to bring up about an hour ago is the secret. Do thoughts create things? And I say they do. And I believe
what I said at the beginning about sport, wasn't it? Where the idea that you could build a play up and something will come of it.
What does this mean, this comment about American History X and me?
That you kind of look like the guy from American History X, which isn't funny.
Bit.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Is that the Nazi?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Rich, I spoke over you then.
Steve.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Sorry, that's my fault. It just didn't.
No, it was mine.
It rung a bell about American History X, and I thought, is that not a Nazi guy? I'm not a Nazi. well, this took a sour turn, didn't it?
I thought somebody had something to say. I mean, usually I'm the one talking. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I kind of crashed your show. Sorry.
No, go on. Sorry, what was we actually saying then? Because that took me.
Sorry, Rich was going to say something. I spoke over him, and yeah, I didn't mean to.
It's not the first time you did it, so I'm getting used to it. What I was going to say was that if we do live in a matrix and thoughts can create things, because I believe they do. I've done it, and it works every time. And then, then people would say, well, how come you're not a millionaire then? If you can create things, why don't you create that millionaire lifestyle that everybody wants? Well, not everybody wants that. People just like maybe being where they're at, and enough is enough, and you don't need to, be a glutton and have more than everybody. So that's kind of where I am. I like to live just what I need. I don't need anything else. I don't need a Lamborghini or 2 or 3. I do need a lot of shoes because I go out a lot, but that's different. But you see, everybody's got their crutch. But it does work. And if your thoughts create things, then that means you can actually manipulate the world you're living in, your matrix, your reality, which makes you a god. And
Yes.
I always say that I think I am my own God, living in my own matrix, creating my own reality. Even when I sleep and when I'm mad, when I'm happy, I'm opening and closing doors all the time. But if you focus on it, you can literally close the doors that need to be closed and open up the doors that need to be opened. And it happened. And it happened to me a lot. And it recently was with the Cousins brothers. That it's for another time, but yeah, I mean, if you can do that, then maybe we are living in a matrix, or maybe the universe is a matrix and we just think it's a computer construct, and it isn't. It's just reality. And maybe the reality is, well, now I just confused myself, but I see it just goes round and round and round.
Yeah, I like that, because that's what I was trying to say before, and I was stumbling over it, is the idea that there isn't a matrix. This is just the fabric of reality.
Exactly. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Mr. DB Cooper. But Rich, you talking about The Secret?
The Secret.
It's a book.
The book. I've never read it, obviously, but
well, I'm like you. I have a problem reading, so I got the DVD set and the book. But yeah, it teaches you on how to use your mind to create the things you want. Like, let's say I want, and they tell you to start small. Like, let's say every time you go shopping and you never get that spot up front. But the next time you go shopping, imagine what it's like in detail, that you're pulling up to, you get in your car, you feel the metal on the door, you feel the steering wheel. You're imagining all this in your mind. You're going to create that spot at the front. And you're going to imagine driving in your car, feeling the wind, seeing the weather, reflections, everything. And some people are really good at creating. I'm one of those people that can create because I have a great imagination. And the more you can create, and as fast as you can create that spot in front of the shopping mall. And it does happen. They tell you to start small. So I'm imagining that I'm driving there and I see the open spot. Now I'm going to get in my car and do it. And the spot will be there. And it happens a lot. It's crazy how that works. And I have a story about creating $5,000 that me and my wife so desperately needed, and it showed up 30 days after I started doing The Secret.
To give it to you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't know him back then, but maybe in some strange universe, he knew me.
That's no, what you're saying is absolutely true, Rich. I even experimented with some of the lighter ideas wherein you're saying you're creating a space, or you're creating a situation where you're going to run into somebody that you've maybe lost touch with, and next thing you know, you turn around and there they are. My story with The Secret, at the very first day that I read it, and I apologize if anybody has heard this, I'll make it brief. I read it in one sitting, took me 6 hours. I said, oh, let me try something. Let's see what happens. And to make a point known too, it's not just the visualization, as Rich is mentioning, it's the tactile sensation and how you feel at that very moment that you're going to focus on. The visual stuff is great, but it's about how you're feeling having $1 million. How would you feel right now if I give you $1 million? Your body might relax. Your mind might start going somewhere else. Oh my God, I don't have to think about certain things. It would change the way you feel. So that's what you want to capture for that moment. Yeah. So I said to myself, okay, let's try this. I need a bag of weed. I don't have any money. I'm not getting paid for a little while, so I just need weed. Let me just try something. So I did this whole exercise like Rich is mentioning. And sure enough, within 15 or 20 minutes of, this exercise, I received a text from somebody I used to live with, but I hadn't seen for, some years. He says, hey, what's going on, man? You have a parcel of mail at my house. I've been sitting on it for a while. I keep meaning to, let you know. And also I have some great weed. I'd love you to try some if you come by. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But I'm thinking to myself, still, I don't have any money, but at least I can get the parcel. So I show up to this house and I open up the mail. And it was a refund from my student loans for exactly the amount of money that it would have cost me to buy an eighth from this guy. And I thought, I looked at him and I said, oh my God, do you believe this? You know what this is? He goes, yeah, it's a secret. I said, what the hell? Because he's not spiritual at all. And yet he was aware of what was going on. And I was like, no way. And I looked down on the check and I had to cash this check within 2 hours. Oh, otherwise, that was it, the 180 days. So he'd been sitting on this for so long. Oh, my God. And there you go. Right then and there, I walked out with a bag of weed and I thought to myself, oh, my God, I didn't even try. Yeah. You got to think about it and you got to let it go. You got to go through that exercise that Rich is mentioning and then you let it go.
But you were in his matrix.
I was in part of his matrix too, clearly. Isn't that weird?
That blows me away. I love that story.
It still blows my mind.
Because I believe in it. A lot of people don't. And
I do to an extent.
Some people say that, well, it doesn't work for me. Well, you've been a certain way your whole life. All those doors are closed. Some people are doing this secret and they're starting to just get the grassroots to come up and break through the top. And they're like, it's not working. And everything just goes, yep. And you just killed everything you did for all that time. But if you give it time, believe me, it does work. And God, I'll talk about this tonight, I guess. It's crazy. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up, whoever did the secret.
I think it was
the Matrix. It wasn't me. It was in, I think it was DB. Somebody in the chat room, I think.
Do you say you can get an audio version, Rich, of that? You've got an audio version of it?
I have the DVD set, yeah.
It will be on Audible. It was a big enough book that
it's on Audible now. Well, Oprah was the one that promoted it like 15 years ago.
Yeah, there was a really weird thing UK-wise with The Secret because there's a TV celebrity, anyone that's around in his 30s or something like that will remember Noel Edmonds, like 30s and upwards. And he was on a daytime television show, and it was really weird. Like, he brought The Secret up on daytime television in the UK, and he was destroyed to the point where, like, ridiculed. His TV career just evaporated.
Wow.
Tragic.
So it was really quite strange. And I remember watching. I was if anyone wants to go and find it on YouTube, it was like Noel Edmonds on This Morning talking about The Secret, he was just talking about like you can ask the universe for things, and the universe will provide you with what you ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And even back then, I remember it sort of resonating with me. It did not resonate with the majority of the British public at the time.
People have to be ready for that sort of thing. They have to be ready to undertake any sort of information. Listen, there's a reason that groups like the Illuminati had held on to certain knowledge that may have been left over from, civilizations like Atlantis or Lemuria or so forth. These very, very esoteric principles in the way of creating reality and the power that we have. I mean, they held it intentionally so that one day, their idea, I think initially was that one day they would bring it back out. But when the consciousness had reached a point that in disseminating this information, we weren't going to use it to destroy ourselves. That was the idea.
Yeah.
Well, boys, we've been going for 2 hours and 10 minutes now, and I think we could talk about Matrix theory all night long. Before we do get off, Rich, have you got a show tonight?
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, I do. What's today? Friday? Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah, I got a show. Yeah, it's coming up in 2 hours and 50 minutes, and it's going to be a good one. Right here on YouTube.
Give us a sneaky.
I have no idea what it is yet.
You're just like me. We just literally create a thumbnail and we just hope for the best.
I have the thumbnail. I created it yesterday. I just
you wish the universe to provide you with a show.
Thank you for that.
Good show.
Now that is a good show. Yeah,
good show.
Yeah, sorry.
Hold on. Let me do it. Done. Okay.
Hey, I'll tell you something real quick here before you go on. Before every show that I do, and I won't say that I'm as diligent as I'd like to be, but I'd say 90% of the shows, when I sit down and lay down to meditate, I am literally imagining myself sitting into the seat, opening up the screen, welcoming in the guest. We're both smiling, we're both laughing, and that is the vision that I keep for the show. And I'll tell you what, the times that I actually do it consciously, that's what I experience. The times that things are a little different or it goes a different direction, usually the days I decide to skip it.
That's me too, because I try to do a little meditating before each show.
Yeah.
So how's it work with you and DarkHour? So DarkHour, you don't have a show tonight. You do have a show tonight.
I do.
What time's yours?
That will be on in, I think, about a half an hour here. 45 minutes. Yep. I have Alex Oyen coming on. Oyen.
Rich, by the way, can you send Mr. DB Cooper a link? So I just want to have a word with him after the show, so he can drop in.
Send him a link to this show.
Yes, to the StreamYard, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, so I'm gonna have a chat with him.
All right.
Mr. DB Cooper, Rich is sending you a link because I haven't got your email. If you email me, I'll have your email. But I appreciate everything you do. And Lee, last but not least, you're going down the comedy route. Are you gonna have some UFO comedy?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think you need to do some like
the YouTubes that ever evolved.
Got it.
Yeah. Go and like the YouTube thing or whatever. Follow. I don't know what you do. Subscribe. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Musty Audio. If you listen to podcasts, look for Musty Audio on podcast stuff, and I do podcasts too.
Beautiful.
I'm dead good at self-promotion, by the way. Like really good at it. If you need tips, just ask.
I don't think none of you big yourself up enough because all these guys are absolutely fantastic. And DarkHour, I will put your link in the description.
I'll try my universe to do it.
I may have to wait for the upload, but usually they upload pretty quick recently. Sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's 2 days.
Yeah, depends on. Yep.
For some reason, my email isn't giving me the prefix. Like when you type in the first letter, it gives you everything. I don't. It's not pulling up his entire information, so I don't know what it is. His email, because usually when you type in the first letter, it would give you everything and and other names that are familiar with that email. That. Like if it's Albert,
it'd be a population.
Yeah, thank you. I can't freaking think because I'm mad. It's not. It won't work. So I don't have the email. If you want to send me an email real quick, Mr. DB Cooper 7.
Do you know what? I'll end the show now, and I'll put the I'm going to put the invite out in the chat.
Yeah, I'll do it for you.
I'll get some random.
No, this is just for Mr. DB Cooper. That's it. There it is.
Well, you know, there you go, mate. If you want to come in for 2 minutes, but the show is about to end.
I have to go.
I'm up at 6 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, it's and it's
midnight.
It's 14.
That's when I go to bed.
But but Mr. DB Cooper, pop in, my friend. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, fellas. Do you know what? I want to thank each and every single one of you, DarkHour, GUFON, and I want to thank you, Lee. You know, you're kind of the backbone of Alien Addict. You know, I've realized that this is kind of the thing that I want to do when it comes to this channel is get the people.
That's a real shame because I fucking hate it.
Well, I know you do, but you know I pay you enough, so.
Sorry, carry on.
Oh, well, thank you, Ali.
You're paying him too.
Very kind.
Yeah, and
that was my deal. I said I want twice whatever Rich gets.
You're paying him too. You bastard.
Let me turn this down. Because I'm watching you guys on TV. Let me turn you down.
Look at this fresh face coming in here.
But I do need to go, and I have to leave in a few minutes for sure.
That's fine, Rich.
Me
Rich,
too.
if you have to get off, mate, I appreciate you. I'm just like, this is just like a little goodbye.
They are some large sunglasses.
What's up, Bundy?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. DB Cooper.
Man, look at that good
Nice to meet you, brother. Yeah, look at that hair, man. He reminds me of dark hair Johnny Bravo. Those glasses, man. He's fresh, man.
I'm going more for like a De Niro look. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
you do. You did it.
This is more of
Goodfellas.
a De Niro and Casino look.
Yes, the glasses and everything. Holy shit!
That's what I was going for. You know what I mean?
You know, women must be going crazy right now.
But yes. Look, man, I appreciate all you guys. I mean, so yes, the nuts and the gravy of all this shit, Rich. Is Rich still on?
I'm right here. Nuts in the gravy?
No, Rich is blending in because he looks like he's floating.
No, because sometimes I don't even know who I'm talking to. Oh, Rich is on here. So we got everybody on here, right?
Yeah. Everybody's here.
All right, awesome. So, man, bro, Rich.
Yeah.
Disclosure's about to happen.
No.
What do you think they're gonna tell us, brother?
Nothing. I think they're gonna drop a few little nuggets that mean nothing. That's exactly what's gonna happen. And everybody thinks that on the 25th, it's this magical day that all this stuff's gonna happen. No, that's the deadline. They could drop stuff right now as we're speaking.
Exactly.
And they haven't.
Exactly. Yeah.
So nothing's going to happen. A lot of redacted stuff and whatever files that you're going to see have already been said and done spoke for. So they can't disclose anything. You just can't, especially right after what happened the last year and a half. You just can't.
Man, you honestly, you can't, Rich. That's such an honest fucking. It's what you say, you know. To me, that's what I tell people. You know, well, some people don't like Rich. Some people don't like Rich and shit. You know, look, man, you can listen to 1,000 things in ufology. Okay, people out there in the YouTube world, you can listen to a million things, but I mean, is somebody going to really tell you like their proper opinions and what they think? And then the cases, we've all broke cases down. We've all done that, you know. We will Paul. We're not even gonna get to that. You know, I'm not gonna give him a time of my fucking. You know what I mean? Because he's not working. You want me to do that?
No.
For a second.
I hope you're right, DB, because it'll be fucking so entertaining.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
But you know, Paul, we've said so much shit about your ass, and man, believe me, man, a lot of us could do the same shit you're doing on your channel. Come on, we can all fucking post videos for 1 million hours, okay, Paul? And you can talk to us till we fucking die.
Out There channel.
Who's Paul?
You
Out
talking
There
about
channel?
the Out There channel?
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, and but what are you gonna prove?
Do you know what, Mr. DB?
Zero.
I want to get Paul on. I would love to get. I'd like to have a one-on-one.
He's not gonna do that though.
Have you seen Have you seen what he looks like? You don't want him on.
I don't
I'm
care
gonna
what
be
he
a
looks
dick.
like.
I don't like
He's
this
Paul's
guy.
not
I
gonna
think
do
he's
that.
scum.
Man, Paul
He
ain't
is
gonna
the
do
worst.
that, man. Paul's
He's-
not gonna do that. I don't know if he's
No.
fucking insecure about himself or what the fuck.
No, he's the
But
worst.
Paul's not gonna come to like say a channel and then tell everybody what like his views are, because then I don't know.
Well,
You know.
do you know-
When has Paul ever told you something like that that actually broke like tell us something that we don't know in the UFO world? When?
I'll be honest, I've not stuck around long enough, but
Never.
Yeah.
Okay,
He never.
it's never happened.
I would like to give the guy the benefit of the doubt and speak to him.
MUFON, look, MUFON is probably like the biggest thing that exists.
No.
MUFON is probably like the biggest thing that exists, that I guess us as a society, I guess if we want to see what's really going on in the phenomena, we would have to reach out to them and tell them, look, we saw this, we saw that, blah, 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 blah. You know, and we get somebody that goes out there and investigates the case and shit like that. And well, Paul feels special because he had fucking some little motherfucker over there that fucking was cool with MUFON. What has MUFON proved? Exactly what fucking
I don't trust MUFON. I don't trust MUFON. Mr. DB Cooper, we will carry on this conversation after the show, because I have got we've gone for an hour and 2 hours and 20 minutes now. But stay on. Stay
I would love to, man. My bad.
Stay in the matrix.
YouTube blogs.
I got emotional, man.
Stay in the matrix. And Paul, if you have made it this far, email me. I'll gladly have you on the show.
Because I would say it right now.
Well, no, I'm a great believer in, if somebody's got something to say it to my face.
Well, yeah, well, exactly, bro. But what have they shown us though? The lose, the donuts. What have they shown us though? What have they shown us? Zero. It's all publicity and all shit. You know what I mean? Honestly, what have they shown us? That's why I say that, you know, certain folks are
off. I should be off too. I got to grab a bite before the next show.
DB, I'll see you later, hopefully, man.
I'm the realest motherfucking ufology.
Hey, listen.
Second realist.
Mr. D.
I'm the realest motherfucking ufology.
Mr. D.
Nice to meet you, man. It was nice to meet you, Mr.
Very
DB Cooper
nice
77. Now I have a face to put to the name.
Happy
Believe
birthday.
it or not, I am the realest motherfucking ufology.
I'm the realest motherfucker in ufology, and I've been
No, I'm the realest motherfucker in ufology.
Man, I love you. I want you to be the face.
I'm Lee.
I am the realest.
Right, guys. All right. Good night. God bless.
Man, y'all gonna
thank you very much, guys.
Let's have this little conversation on the side.
Boys, I'm going to drop you down for 2 minutes and chat with you in a moment. I'm just going to say goodbye to the crew.
Oh.
Thank you for so much, folks, for watching tonight. Honestly, the support, having you lot here, having you lot share the stuff out, and just having a laugh in the chat, it means a lot. This because I got the day job. Yeah, I do the stuff with the kids, do stuff with the wife. Not a lot with the wife. Been married for too long. But you know, life's crazy at the moment. But this is what keeps my spirits alive. Just kind of like coming on here, talking to the guests, having a bit of fun. I enjoy it. The subject drives me crazy at times, but I love it so much. So I thank each and every one of you for being patient, for being good friends, for being respectful. I mean, everybody in the chat, you're all respectful. You're all brilliant. I'm sorry I don't get a chance to read the chat. Do you know what I quite often do after a live chat on a morning when I'm having my breakfast? I usually rewatch myself, and my wife will take the mick out of me, and she'll say, you really do fancy yourself, don't you, Ollie? And I'm like, no, I'm reading the chat. She thinks I like to hear the sound of my own voice. But anyway, I appreciate it. I appreciate every single one of you. So thank you so much. Make sure you share Alien Addict out there to friends, family. Check out the links. DarkHour Paranormal is not in the description at the moment because he wasn't going to be on the show. But I will add him. If you want to find him, it's DarkHour all one word, then paranormal. If it's not, if you're trying to look for him now. But yeah, I want to thank everybody, all the people that are supporting the channel, sharing the work, people that are buying the t-shirts, the Patreons, everybody, the super chatters, Mr. DB Cooper, Ginger Steve tonight, and you know, all of you, each and every, whether it's just a like, just a thumb up, and sharing it. It's honestly overwhelming. And I've forgotten Lee, who's changed his name to welcome to the channel. Thank you as well. I get mixed up with that one. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. You're all amazing and just awesome. Thank you. Good night. God bless. Mind the books don't bite. I'm Alien Addict. Like, share, subscribe, and just chill out.